Hello everyone, my name is Tim from George Mason. Today I'm going to talk about mmChoir, a scheme we propose to exploit joint transmissions for reliable 60 GHz mmWave WLANs. Nowadays, the Wi-Fi related traffic is increasing at a tremendous rate, and the current 802.11n and the 802.11ac standard will give us pretty high data rate with NIMO and OFDM techniques. And at the same time, new applications like the virtual reality and the uncontrolled video streaming came out. And these are kind of bandwidth-hungry applications. These applications need more data rate. Actually, to achieve the higher data rate, the mmWave band is open and to give us an opportunity. So in this case, to achieve this, to achieve the higher data rate, the option is to going up to the higher frequency. And the 802.11ad and AY standard, which work on the 60 GHz band, can just use the single carrier modulation and take use of the larger bandwidths to give us very high data rate. But the one problem of moving to the higher frequency is a higher attenuation. In this case, the beamforming comes in with the phase antenna array. With the phase antenna array, we can concentrate the signal to one specific direction of the receiver. In this case, to compensate the higher attenuation. So another characteristic of the beamforming is the spatial reuse, which means we can put more than one link in the same time slot within the same channel at the same time. And here, the problem we want to solve is the blockage problem. Another outstanding problem of moving up to the higher frequency is blockage, which means this kind of blockage can even bring the link down. For example, the human being can bring around 30 dB loss for the 60 GHz link. There are many kind of solutions. The first one is beam switching and beam dilation. Beam switching means, okay, when this link is break, and then okay, we can use another reflection link. And the beam dilation means we can use a wider beam to go across the blockage. And the second solution is faster session transfer, which means when the link is blocked, actually we can use the legacy 2.4 or 5G legacy Wi-Fi to keep the link alive. And the third solution is the motion sensor based, which means when the link is blocked, we can use a motion sensor to feedback my position or my facing position to the network, and the network can use another AP to provide the service. But one limitation of these solutions are that they're reactive, which means the link recovery is initiated after the link block. So in this case, the throughput and the RSS of the communication path suffers first, and then these strategies react to the blockage. To fight with the blockage problem, we are thinking whether we can use, whether we can have a proactive way, whether we can provide the reliability in advance. In this case, we introduce a joint transmission queue, which means we want to use two or more APs sending the same signal to the client at the same time to provide the reliability. In this case, if one link is blocked, we can the direct link can be used to keep the link alive. To verify our idea would be the motivation experiment. Here we are using the UbiQ front end, and in the center we have a receiver. Then we have two transmitters with different angle separation. We fix the first transmitter here, and then we rotate the second transmitter with different angle. And then we create a human blockage, twice around the receiver, and then we measure the overall RSS at the receiver side. From this picture, we can see that the overall RSS increase when we increase angular separation between transmitters. Here we can clearly see that when we create the angular separation from 30 to 90, the RSS increases a lot. This is because the signal arriving from the wider angles are less likely to be blocked by the same blockage. And another observation here is that when we increase the angle from 90 degree to 120, the RSS decreases a little. So we think that is because at the receiver side, the receiver beam pattern didn't take use of these two paths. So we claim that to take full use of the joint transmission, we have to adapt the receiver beam pattern. Actually, a joint transmission could be helpful, but there are many challenges behind that. Intuitively, when we increase the number of the AP for the joint transmission, we directly increase the probability of the spatial reuse. So how can we balance the reliability and the throughput? So I list the challenges and solutions here. The first one is how can we select the APs? How many APs, how many corresponding paths should we choose for the joint transmission? To solve this problem, we figured out the reliability score, which can quantify the joint transmission. The second one is how can we manage the interference between the joint transmissions? How can we manage the interference between the joint transmissions? To solve this problem, we figured out the spatial reuse score that can capture the different level of the interference without scenario. And then we're taking these two scores and came up with a blockage and interference aware scheduler to do the scheduling for the 60 GHz schedule. This is the system overview of our mmChoir system. So mmChoir is a centralized control system. So it can run on the controller, which is common in the enterprise network. The input of the system is all the beamforming information from the AP and the client. And then we calculate the combination of all these paths. After we get the combination for this path, we get the individual and the joint transmission candidate. Then we calculate the reliability score and the spatial reuse score for all these paths. Then we feed this information to our blockage and interference aware scheduler. And then the output of the scheduler could be fed to the service period channel access in the 802.11 standard. Okay, first let's see how can we use the reliability score to quantify the joint transmission. As I mentioned before, first we need to adapt the beam pattern at the receiver side to avoid the deafness problem, the 60 GHz WLAN. So to adapt, in our work, we can easily do that by the multi-level probe. So we have three situations here. The first one is we don't need to adapt to the receiver beam pattern because the receiver beam pattern has already taken use of this min lobe or cell lobe or these two min lobes, and then can directly receive the signal from the two transmissions. And the second one is we can parallelize the receiver beam pattern to the sector level, or even bigger to the cosine element level, to make the joint transmission possible. To quantify the joint transmission, reliability score is here. So we're using the non-normalized version of the angular spread metric. And here, the P is the power angular profile of the receiver pattern after the receiver beam adaptation. And here, to calculate the reliability score of the joint transmission, which composed of all these individual paths, we use the angular spread multiply a probability here. So this PB is the block probability of the individual paths, and this part represents in the link for the in the joint transmission at least one link is aligned. So with this metric, we want to achieve 3 goals. With wider beam, with larger angular spread, and with a higher power gain, we want to have the higher reliability. In this case, we can see from this picture, this big red pattern, it has a very large beam width, the higher gain, and a large angular spread. So it has the highest reliability. And the second solution is we figure out a spatial reuse score that captures the level of interference. Actually, to know the interference in the 6 GHz WLAN is not an easy job. If we want to measure the interference, that will need a lot of work. So we are thinking whether we can directly just use the beamforming information to estimate the interference without measurement. So, and then we came up a simple model. Here is a basic idea. We can see that suppose we have 2 links, the link 1 using pattern PA and pattern PC, and the link 2 is using pattern PB and pattern PE. So when we want to check whether link 2 is interfere with link 1, we will use the information of the beamforming information from the AP2 and the client 1. So at the receiver side, we will check whether there's overlap between these 2 patterns. If the PC and the PD is overlapped, we consider they are interfere. Because this is because let's say if these 2 links are communication at the same time, and the link 2 is using PD. In this case, if link 1 is using PD, it will definitely receive a lot of interference. And because now the client 1 is using PC, which is overlapped with the PD. So in this case, the link 1 has higher probability to be interfered. So this is a little bit overestimation model, but it can fit to the joint transmission. So the joint transmission interfered with the link. So if any, the individual link of the joint transmission interfere with that. In this case, we extended this to the joint transmission. And then we represent the interference relationship of the network in a conflict matrix. And then we calculate the spatial reuse score of the joint transmission, which is that the number of the other links can be scheduled with this link together over the total number of the potential links in the network. And the third, for the third challenge, we figure out the blockage and interference aware scheduling. Here, the problem of scheduling the links can be modeled as a problem of finding the maximum independent set as the conflict graph. This is a MobiHoc problem. So we figure out the heuristic-based greedy scheduling to schedule the links. And this is our algorithm. So our idea is that we want to find the link with the maximum value of the multiplication of these 2 scores, because we want to have the higher probability and at the same time have the higher throughput. And then we try to use a grid manner to fit the link, to fit another link with the highest value of the probability of this score. At the same time, without interference with the current links in the network. To evaluate our work, we did a trace-driven simulation with our test lab. So we first used our test labs to profile the room to test the different reflectors permittivity. And then we simulate the human blockage and fit all these parameters to a retracing-based simulation. We carefully calculated 3 kinds of rooms with different reflection, different layout blockage, and for all 3 different rooms, we simulated the human blockage at 2 different levels. And then we compared 3 different strategies with 4 metrics: the throughput, retransmission rate, average spatial reuse, and how many APs is used in joint transmission. So for the first scheme is mmChoir SR cross R, which is our scheme to maximum the product of the reliability score and the spatial reuse. And the second strategy is mmChoir R, which we just pick the maximum reliability to prioritize the reliability. And the third scheme is beam switching. It's a state of art. It's a state of the art scheme, which can keep, which we implement that as we're trying to send the blocked packet for the next time slot by using alternative pattern. So let's first see the throughput. So we can see that the mmChoir SR cross R performs better than the beam switching under different level of the human and layout blockage. But here, for the mmR has a lower throughput because it vastly utilizes the joint transmission and gets a lower spatial reuse. But in the room 3, which has a higher layout blockage, both mmChoir schemes achieves a good throughput. In this case, we claim that mmChoir, no matter can recognize and affect with dynamic blockage, it can also affect with the layout and the static blockage. Across all 3 rooms, mmChoir SR cross R achieves around 60% increase in the network throughput. And then for the retransmission rate, which is calculated as a fraction of the service period, which are required to be retransmitted after the blockage happens. So in this case, mmChoir R has the lowest retransmission rate because it's greatly used joint transmission. And the beam switching has the highest retransmission rate because for the beam switching, it has lower reliability, so it has to use more time slots to complete the transmission. And the mmChoir SR cross R can adaptively provide the lower retransmission. And then we want to check spatial reuse ability for different strategies. So first of all, when we increase the number of the AP, we increase the spatial reuse because more APs definitely can provide more resources to the network. And then for the beam switching, which doesn't use joint transmission, it's achieved the highest spatial reuse because it's always just use one AP. And it creates more spatial reusability for other links. And the mmChoir R creates the lowest spatial reuse due to its increased use of joint transmission. And for the mmChoir SR cross R, it can achieve the spatial reuse closer to the beam switching. And last but not the least, we want to see how many APs are used in the joint transmission. So in this case, we can see that the mmChoir R involves small APs in the joint transmission to provide reliability, but at the same time it reduces spatial reuse. But our mmChoir SR cross R can dynamically change the number of the APs, and it utilized one AP or 2 APs for most of the time. To wrap up, first, the joint transmissions can provide added robustness against no matter dynamic and static blockages. And our mmChoir SR cross R scheme can adaptively balance high throughput and the high reliability. And for most of the time, 2 APs joint transmission are enough for our scheme to provide reliability. And for our future work, we consider 3D informing model because here all the code book and pattern we consider is 2D in the horizontal line. But the AP will be deployed in the ceiling, so we have to. So we will involve the 3D informing model as our